Okay, so once you've cut out 9 squares of one fabric and 9 squares of your other fabric, it's time to stack them up. And some of the patterns have a certain way to hold them, and this one doesn't. You can turn it this way and it's going to be fine in your pillow pattern. This way it's going to be fine. So this one we don't have to worry about. But if we had, like, say, a Steelers fabric that had Steelers and a helmet and stuff, that has an up and a down, and you need to make sure that when you set the stack up that you turn them so that they're all facing upright. They'll be upside down because we have it obviously upside down, but they need to be upright. Now on each little margin here on the side, that's where you're going to put in, and since she made these odd numbers, we're going to make these even numbers, okay? So in the margin you're going to put down the even numbers, and so this one right here is going to be 2. Okay, I might have to use a different marker. And I do it in the margin because if I don't do it in the margin, there is a chance that it will bleed through, especially if it's a permanent marker that I'm looking for. Found one. So here's the permanent marker. It'll show up better in the margin. There we go. There's my 2. And then we know this is the 1. So, so 2. Our next number is 4, right here in the margin. The next one is 6. Okay. 8. If I would have done it here, it might bleed through. So that's why we don't do it there. She did it on this one, but it didn't bleed through. She did it really light. But I don't prefer it there, I prefer it in the margin. Okay? What number am I on? 8? Oh wait, I did 8. Can I do 8? So then we gotta do 10. 10. 12. 14. 16, 18. Okay, so your evens go up to 18, and your odds should go up to 17. And we do this so it has a pattern, a setup. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what the setup is. You've got 1, and this is number 2, and this is number 3. Okay, so that's the setup of the pattern. Then our next one would be, we're looking for number 4. So this is number 4. See the number there? Number 5 and number 6. See how your pillow is starting to create the pattern? So all you have to do is follow the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last ones would be 7, 8, 9. We always sew strips of 3. We never attach a square like this to 1, a square like this to 1, a square like this to 1. We sew strips of 3. So I'm actually going to put these aside for the moment, and I'm going to put concentrate on just these 3. So you take these 2 and you put them pretty sides facing each other, the right sides facing each other. You're going to need to pin it, so you line it up so it's nice and straight. Grab your 2 pins that you should always have in your Ziploc bag. You're going to pin it. You're not going to pin it all the way around because you're just sewing from edge of the fabric to the edge of the fabric. You do not just sew on the sewing line. If you do, then this part here that's open is going to have a hole in your pillow on both sides. So that's why we sew from the edge of the fabric to the edge of the fabric. I'm going to put this aside for the moment and get one that's already started. Okay, she's already started to attach number 1 and number 2 together. And it looks like she's almost done. No, she's just started actually. Okay, so here's our, I'm going to come in and zoom in a little bit closer. That way you can see how tiny the stitches need to be. And right here, she didn't start at the edge of the fabric, so I'm actually going to go backtrack and do that, because it's important that you start at the edge of the fabric. Otherwise, you're going to have holes, like I said, in that spot. So I'm going to go right here to the edge of the fabric. We always sew from right to left, so that's okay. So now I'm going to start again. There I am at the edge of the fabric, and I'm just going to go back over. Can't hurt to sew again over the same stuff you just did. So I'm fine with it. If I make a mistake, I'm just going to keep sewing. Loops show, I'm going to still keep sewing. Okay. I'm going to try to stay on that sewing line best I can, though. And again, we're just weaving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and pull. We don't want to go more than what I've done just now. We want to straighten it out, and we want to do a back stitch. This is what gives students a little bit of a problem. They don't know where to do the back stitch. You do the back stitch right here in front of this last loop. Here's the loop. Down, right in front of that, is the back stitch, and then up in front of it all to do your 3 stitches again, 3 or 4 stitches, so that when I pull this now, it doesn't gather. It's staying there. It's all one solid piece now. Okay, and you're going to sew all the way to the very end, but you do need to make sure that you are pinned, because if you don't have a pin in here, this is going to move on you, and you'll be eventually like this at the very end. Okay. And you don't want it to be like that. You want it to be lined up properly. So that's why you need the pins there. That'll be a pitfall for you. You need to make sure that you're lined up so that you're going to catch fabric and sew to the end. Once you get to the end, you open it up. Okay? And so I think that this one is 1 and this one is 2. So now I need to add on number 3, and that is from this stack. Now, we don't just go like this and sew it up like this. We put right sides together, pin it again, and we keep doing strips of 3. Once I'm done with this strip of 3, I put it aside and grab my next 3 in the sequence. Okay? I believe I wrote the sequence on the board, and you just finish this sequence, and you keep sewing sequences of 3. Okay, and putting them aside, and eventually you will sew the sequence of 3 together, but not today. So you have a lot of sewing. Hand sewing is taking your time, making small little stitches, making sure you're sewing from the edge of the fabric to the edge of the fabric, making sure you know how to do a tie-off knot. There's nothing worse than sewing wonderfully and then only to have it unravel because you don't know how to do a tie-off knot. Okay, tie-off knot. Let me quickly show you that. Okay, even though we're not at the end of the fabric, I'm going to show you. You go around your hand. I turn my hand so that I can see like an opening. I don't know if you can see the opening. There's like a circle in there. You stick the needle into the hole twice, and you pull until this is down here by your fabric. Pull. And then you put your fingernail down there to hold the knot down there, and then you pull, and it should keep that knot way down there, and it did. There's the knot. So now it's nice and low to the fabric, and all you have to do is cut it off. In our case, we're not going to cut it off because she still has some sewing to do. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Okay.